Hello, WhatCulture Wrestling. My name is Simon Miller and welcome to yet another episode of Ups and Downs. This time we are going to focus on the latest episode of All Elite Wrestling's Dynamite, and a round of applause for AEW, because if you didn't see, within the last 24 hours, they not only upped their deal with TNT, but they're also going to have a brand new show to sit side by side Dynamite. In fact, it sounds like the YouTube program Dark is going to head to television. So everybody out there was like, oh, they're going to die in time, they're going to die in a year. Bash at the Beach, which is what Dynamite was called this week, did start off with a very respectful shout out to the likes of Pampiro Firpo, Kendo Nagasaki, La Parka, and Rocky Johnson, all of whom very sadly passed away over the last week or so. And that gives me the opportunity to do the same and send my thoughts and prayers and wishes to their friends and to their families, but at least all these guys did leave quite the incredible legacy. We were then just in the ring, and it was going to be Kenny Omega and Hangman Page taking on the Best Friends, taking on the Young Bucks, taking on the Proud and the Powerful, and we were just ready to go. There was no entrances, there was no nothing, there was just a big gun, they pulled the trigger, and they went, away you go, which is what we did, and it's getting it up. The venue looked great because it had been decked out like a beach, and even announcer Justin Roberts was chilling because he was wearing a kind of unbuttoned shirt. And you already know how this match went. It went move, 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 amazing, 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 brain process, brain process, brain process. How the hell are they able to do this week in, week out? What I loved most about this, though, was all the little nuances that were resting beneath the surface. So Hangman Page looked kind of forlorn out the whole thing, because obviously he is going through a hard time. And because the Proud and Powerful are a couple of assholes, they continue to be throughout a couple of assholes. Early on, for example, they just ran in and beat everybody up. And then later on, they were stopping the Best Friends from having a hug. Also, Matt Jackson at one point was on the outside selling, and it got me. I was like, oh no, I hope he's not actually hurt. That would suck. But I think I was just being a wrestling nerd. The crowd was absolutely pumped for this, which gave it a special feel, and it deserved to have a special feel because whoever won here was going to go on to Dynamite next week to challenge SCU for their World Tag Team Championships. It's like big deal Saturday. Wednesday. And as well as the non-stop action, which I don't think anybody can actually document, even if they tried, AEW even decided to throw some comedy in there. And I know, how dare professional wrestling try and have fun? Well, I tell you this, I was entertained, and I had fun, so I was okay with this. They basically teased a massive suplex spots featuring everybody, and the only reason the Best Friends and Proud and Powerful were able to get the edge is because Orange Cassidy got in there and kind of against his better nature helped out. And I tell you this, when he did start to head towards this pack of dudes, the crowd erupted like the damn Rock had just walked down the aisle. Our multi-man tag noise then sounded, the one, boo, which means everyone has to get in the ring and hit all of their moves, which they did. Then it kind of got interesting because Hangman Page, who hadn't done all that much, although to be fair, he had done a moonsault off the top rope to the outside because he's one crazy tamale, blind tagged Nick Jackson. He got in the ring, Omega and him hit like a V-trigger buckshot lariat double thing, and he managed to pin Chuck to get the 1, 2, 3 and become part of the number one contenders. The Bucks were pretty upset about this afterwards, but they were able to make amends with Kenny Omega, but not so much with Hangman, and you just know this pressure cooker is about to explode. I love it. Long-term storytelling will always make me feel like a happy child. I mean, it really was great as well. It was just mad. It was so mad, and all these people are absolutely incredible. What a start it was. Cody was then out to address everything with MJF, and he's just so darn good. He used plenty of inside baseball terms here, which I do imagine would have confused some, but Cody is so good at reading the audience, I think he pitched it perfectly. And he was talking about being in factions in the past and people stealing his pop, as well as some veterans saying about MJF, he is fantastic. He is an old school heel. He understands that less is more. But Cody doesn't see that way. He just knows that MJF has to do less because he can't do more. Pow pow, shots fired. So the reason I dug it is because one, as already established, I am a wrestling nerd, but two, it kind of made it feel more real because Cody was being so open about this and talking about the business in such an honest fashion, you were like, oh, I know the rest of it may be fake, but this one is legit. Anyway, Cody accepted all of Maxwell's stipulations, which is very interesting because one of them is getting whipped right in the middle of an AEW ring. So I'm very intrigued to see how they go about that. Before the American Nightmare then stared right down the camera and said, MJF, I'm gonna give you your own scar. And look, this made me want to see those two fight even more than I did before, which means it achieved its goal. Joey Janela was then in the back cutting a promo too, and I tell you, these last couple of weeks, AEW has just been so much better paced, because we had the Cody segment, then we had this segment, and it just allowed you to calm down from the opening match, while also throwing some narratives in your face. Alright. And it was to the point as well. He was saying that his new year has absolutely sucked because his ex-girlfriend Penelope Ford had just whammed him in the balls recently, and if you do follow ups and downs, you know that is the second most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, and more on those later, but it doesn't matter because he's going to go on to next week, fight Phoenix and prove that he is the man, and then he's going to set his sights on Kip Sabian and rip off his testicles. I mean, he didn't say that, but it'd be a good way to get revenge. It was the Nightmare Collective versus Chris Statlander and Shida after this, and look, I thought it was fine, I thought it was entertaining, I got something from it, but I do agree that it was a little bit too long, and I also agree this storyline has kind of gone so off the rails, the fans have stopped investing, and you kind of just lose the atmosphere when you are watching it at home too. And as you know, we do grade on a curve here, go down. Brandy Rhodes was substituting for Awesome Kong because she had got sick and therefore wasn't able to compete, and her and Mel were already being assholes before this thing even begun, because Dr. Luther was on the rampway stopping Shida from getting into the squared circle, which meant Chris Statlander, the alien, was having her ass kicked. Thankfully, Shida had a kendo stick, so she just smashed Luther, and then the match could start properly. And when she did get in there, you gotta give a salute to the effort that was on display here, because Chris Statlander was giving UFO moonsaults onto the floor, and Shida was like jumping off chairs with that running knee. They were trying to do whatever they could. And I thought Mel and Brandy worked well together too. They were just using old school heel tactics to make sure they had the advantage by cheating here and there when the referee couldn't see, but also cutting off the ring so they could always be in control. I bet the Revival watched this and they're like, yeah, that's how you do it. Statlander eventually got the hot tag and ran wild, and like I say, it was just a bit of a shame that the crowd weren't more up for this, but I do understand. I also think that AEW may see this as a work in progress and also may be about to change lanes, because Chris Statlander did indeed hit Mel with the package pile driver. She got the win, and I can't remember a time that Nightmare as a collective have had a match, so this could have been their first one, and they just lost. Brandy went nuts at Mel afterwards, and if I was Mel, I'd be like, look, I shaved my head for you, you've got to give me a little bit of a break. And I don't know, just something deep down inside of me thinks AEW is very good at listening to their audience. I see some shifting coming. And if I am correct there, I do appreciate them not just doing a complete 180. Like, if you have decided, okay, this hasn't worked, but we now need to get here, take your time with it. Sensibility is always the most sensible thing to do. We had a Dark Order video package next, and I absolutely loved it. Not only were they pointing out members of the AEW roster that they would like to recruit and admitting, well, he's going to be quite hard and he may be a hot tamale, you also had this mysterious voice of the Dark Order leader, and I want to know who it is. And I do now want it to be Matt Hardy, simply because there was a rumor saying that it may be Matt Hardy. That's all I need. Like I say, massive wrestling geek, wrestling nerd. People present these fantasy bookings to me, and I'm like, I want to see the broken/woken one leading this group. It would be brilliant. Sammy Guevara then proved and underlined that he is on the path to Smash Town. I don't know what that means, but he's very good up. He was taking on Jon Moxley, and not only did he keep up with the man step for step, but he never left character. Like, at one point he was in control, and he climbed up to the top rope, and he pretended he was going to hit an elbow or something like that, and instead he just dropped down and taunted Jon right in his face. I mean, it was a huge mistake because that pissed Moxley off, and he went crazy, but it just made you look at Sammy Guevara and think, man, I'd like to punch you right in your nose. That is a good bad guy. And from here, it was just a really good, solid, enjoyable wrestling match. They did a little bit of fighting inside the ring. They did a little bit of fighting outside the ring. At one point, Jon Moxley went to German suplex Sammy. He landed on his feet and then hit a standing shooting star press. And that whole sequence made it feel like I was on holiday. The finish rocked as well, because Guevara thought that he was in control, so he went back to the top rope and tried to hit Jon Moxley with a moonsault, but instead Jon just caught him, and when do you see that? And he locked on a rear naked choke, and Guevara tapped out straight away. It was like a fish that realized he was in water no more, and he was freaking out. I should say, out of water, a fish doesn't die in water. But the point is, when you do tap out that quickly to a move, straight away I go, Jon Moxley may have something here, so if he uses it again, I understand it is part of his arsenal. I mean, honestly, Guevara didn't even last 5 seconds, It was like he was terrified of death. And it wasn't even done, because as soon as this had happened, the lights went out, and when they came back on, who was in the ring? That's right, the Inner Circle, and they were going to punish Jon Moxley for everything that he had done last week, including the Proud and the Powerful hitting him with that loaded sock. I understand that it would hurt, but it makes me laugh every single time. Next time, why don't they just use some pants? We also hit him in the balls, because that's what all wrestlers do now. But then Jericho really raised it up to a new level when he took one of the spikes off his jackets and he rammed it right into Jon Moxley's eye. Oh my gosh. The crowd sold it like Moxley may actually have died, and Jericho had a big smile on his face like his mum and dad had just told him he was gonna go out for pizza and ice cream. This was a fantastic angle. We weren't even done here, because backstage Chris Jericho, Le Champion, even cut a promo. He said next week on the boat, because it is the Chris Jericho cruise where Dynamite is gonna come live from, him and his team are gonna ruin the Jurassic Express, especially that stupid Jungle Boy. But then he also made lots of jokes about Moxley not being able to see. What an absolute dick. Also, we mentioned the damn boat, and don't forget what has just happened here. We are going to be on the seas. Jon Moxley just had his eye attacked, and that means that he is going to be a pirate on the damn boat. You have no idea how much I'm in for Eye Patch John. And just to continue to gush here, fair play to the commentary team as well. From point one, they kept going. Do not forget, Jon Moxley doesn't have many friends, so when he was getting beaten down, you as the fan were able to go, well, of course nobody came out to save him. He doesn't have any friends. He also arrived in that sports car, the Ford GT, that the Inner Circle bought him last week. Everything here, give it 722 ups, but don't just stick to the original up I gave it a few minutes ago. And then my loins continued to flare up, because it was MJF teaming with the Butcher and the Blade to take on Dustin Rhodes, DDP, and QT Marshall. And I just have one question. How is DDP in his 60s? It is unbelievable. This was the best advert for DDPY you've ever seen. We should all start doing it yesterday. It is getting it up. Not even that much happened here, but it was so well thought out and it was so well planned, you couldn't help but buy in. And DDP even managed to smash MJF with a diamond cutter at one point, which we did want to see. Because my word, did MJF double down on this DDP daughter stuff. But also, because Maxwell had been hit by a Canadian Destroyer, thanks to Dustin Rhodes, the former Goldust was able to get a very close near 2 count until it was broken up by the Blade. And do you know how Maxwell Jacob Friedman won this? After all the dives and all the moves and all the maneuvers, he saw an opportunity to use the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, and he did so on QT Marshall, and he got the 1, 2, 3, and he looked even happier than Jericho did earlier. So my man, MJF, although I did tweet that at you earlier, I said that, my man, I gave you the high five single, and you replied saying that I was a cue ball, and you told me to go away, but look, dude, it's okay. Don't even worry about it, you're still a good guy, I still like you. Also, look at the power I have, because you did do that. Down! Right, take that down back, because MJF ain't going to affect my show, but you know, don't do that again. It was the best way to end it too, because Marshall isn't really doing much of anything right now, so it didn't affect any of the other stories. Also, MJF, he's just such a good asshole. Give him another round of applause. SCU were then backstage and they fell out with Hangman Page. Man, poor Hangman. He just can't cut a break. He's desperately trying to find his place in this world again. People keep getting in his way. Kenny Omega then came back and he tried to calm everybody down and said that next week it would be a gentleman's fight. And that may be the case for you, Kenny. It is definitely not the case for one Page. It was our main event next, and my word, Darby Allin, Pac. I mean, what am I even meant to say? In fact, boop, I can hit my elevator button, down I go in my lift, because I got nothing. There are no words that can come out of my mouth to truly tell you how great this was. But of course, before I do vanish, it is getting it up. I mean, even the clotheslines in this were excellent. Pac hit Darby with one that had so much force, even Tony Schiavone started to laugh. It's like where you're at a funeral and you're so overtaken by the emotion, you accidentally do a little giggle. But honestly, he ruined the man. Then there were power bombs onto people's heads, Darby somehow reversing a top rope maneuver that Pac was going for into like a crucifix bomb, and basically Darby being absolutely brutalized in this match, but it just worked because every time he did get a little bit of a comeback, he got a little bit of a hope spot. The fans were just desperate to see him get something. Pac eventually hit the Black Arrow to get the victory, and I have deliberately not gone too much into this because, like I say, you just have to go and watch it to appreciate it. Pac is somehow still underrated, even though he's brilliant, and Darby Allin is absolutely going to be a future star. And this wasn't even the end of Dynamite. We had an angle to close the show. Because Pat got on the microphone afterwards as Tony Schiavone tried to interview him, and he was all like, listen, Jon Moxley, everyone knows a one-eyed man can't fight, so you're out of our match next week, which means I am the number one contender, and Chris Jericho, I am going to rip you to pieces. But then we did zoom to the backstage area, and Jon Moxley was in a hospital wagon, and he got out of said wagon and he started to make his way to the ring. What's that? It's called an ambulance? Fine, ambulance. He told Pac that's not how it's gonna go down, and even if he does have to come out next week as a pirate, he is gonna take out the bastard, and whoever wins that will become the number one contender for the AEW Championship. I mean, what a show we have next week. I'm not sure if this was the best Dynamite I've seen, but I'm 99% sure it was definitely up there. Give me my spinning arrow, give it an up. I love wrestling. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's show. Like the video, share the video. Please do subscribe. It's absolutely free. You just click a button, then you hit the bell as well. Head over to WhatCulture.com so you can read more articles about AEW Dynamite. Follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE, and watch more videos here on WhatCulture Damn Wrestling. My name is Simon from WhatCulture, and do not forget that in 7 days, AEW Dynamite is going to be on a damn boat. It's going to be on Chris Jericho's damn boat. I love it when wrestling shows look different. Like Bash at the Beach looked a little bit different. That's going to look super different. It gets me pumped. It gets me excited. This was very good all around.